Hey everybody, welcome to Build. I'm your host, Brittany Jones-Cooper, and today I'm sitting down with Daniel Kaluuya. We've seen him in high-stakes situations in films like Get Out and Widows, but in his new film, Queen and Slim, Kaluuya plays a man who is forced to go on the run with a woman he just met after he shoots a cop in self-defense. It's an emotional ride that explores the impact of police brutality, but above everything else, it's a moving story about love. Take a look. Put your hands together for Daniel Kaluuya.
Hello.
Good morning.
Morning.
How you doing today?
I don't know how I'm doing.
It's a little early, right?
It's all right, yeah.
Okay.
Been to the gym already, so I'm chilling, yeah. But I'm cool. I'm jiggy.
That's more than me. All right, cool. Well, I saw the film last night, and I had just like this feeling afterwards that I couldn't quite place. I was sad. I was hopeful. I was a little angry. I mean, it's really one of those films that I think it's going to sit with people and make them think about a lot of stuff. So just congrats on the film. I really, it was such a ride and so emotional. And that's what you want to feel. You want to feel something when you see a film like that. So for you, what was it about this project? Because you are booked and busy. I see you everywhere. What was it about Queen and Slim that you wanted to make time for it and do this role?
I just I always find it fascinating if something articulates an experience that you don't see in cinema. You know what I mean? It's like, or especially mainstream cinema. It's kind of how when I first read Get Out, I felt the same way. I was like, I didn't know I felt like this. I didn't know that this was. I didn't know that you could do this, especially in an industry, in an arena that there are no rules. There's still things that are like, you shouldn't go there, you shouldn't go there. And it's really exciting when you find something that goes, oh, wow, you can make a story like this. And even when I was watching it for the first time, just even seeing two dark-skinned people kissing, do you know what I'm saying? That's just like something I haven't seen really in mainstream cinema. Seen a little Nollywood film, but in mainstream cinema, I rarely see that. Yeah. And so it's just a really amazing thing to do.
Yeah, I think that's what also really drew me in. There is this amazing line between love and hate that the film explores pretty consistently, and you have this social commentary that is so important, but the love story also is so engaging, and to see these two Black people, the Black love, again, you say, I don't really see that often, and I was really kind of proud and drawn and rooting for them for that reason.
And what's exciting is that this film can only happen today because of the Tinder element, but it's also speak deeper the disposable nature that we handle dating and partners and relationships. It's like they only begin to get closer when they throw their phones. Do you know what I'm saying? And they have to look at each other, and they could be more suited than they thought they were at the beginning of the film. And you go on that journey, and it's like they both weren't trying their hardest because they can always just go on the app and find somebody else. And I find that fascinating.
Yeah, it really made me realize that some of those Tinder dates that I thought were really bad were actually not that bad.
Which one do you regret?
Because they didn't end in a police chase. Oh, Daniel, there's so many.
Oh, wow.
Like, so many bad ones, but none of them ended in like me having to go on the run. So I guess they weren't that bad, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I mean, it could be
depends
worse.
what you're into.
So let's talk about Slim, because this is a guy who is a good guy, and he gets caught in this impossible situation. So how was he written, and what did you sort of bring to him?
It was just it was weird because he just didn't. What I found amazing about him, he didn't want for anything more than what he has around him. That's a really beautiful quality. Do you know what I mean? He's very content. Just wants a woman to settle down with and some kids and family and stay in the area that he grew up in. And that's a really simple way to live life. I think it's really poetic and beautiful. And it took me a while to understand that. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, and I've seen it around me, but I just love that kind of clarity that he has. And what happens with this police stop, it just takes that away from him. Do you know what I'm saying? He's still reaching for that. I just want to see my family. I want to see my dad. I want to speak to my dad. Do you know what I'm saying? And he kind of has to come to terms with that. He may or may not see them for a while.
There's an emphasis on his faith and his religion. Why do you think that's important, to make sure that people know that his faith is so important to him?
It's important because you don't really... What he has to deal with is kind of like with the rigidity of religion, you can kind of think bad people do this and they go to hell, and good people do this, and they go to the clouds. Do you know what I'm saying? And he's in a situation where he's pushed because of the perception on his skin color. He's put in this predicament where he has to. He thinks he's going to die, and so he's doing something. He's done something bad. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like it confuses him in terms of what he's been taught about what life is and who does things in life and what kind of person does this and what kind of person does that. And it gives him an inner turmoil throughout the course of the film. And also just he has to negotiate, I think, with a lot of young black men, like just emotional constipation. Do you know what I'm saying? Of like not understanding your emotions and not understanding how to express them when you're going through a lot of things and not knowing how it comes out, and then actually taking it out on the person closest to you. And it goes, your fault, it's you're the reason why we're in this. But it's just, sometimes life doesn't make sense. And there's something about religion that it tries to order a spirituality that is just out there. Do you know what I mean? There's no order in it.
Yeah, because he really is a good guy and he's trying to do the right thing. But like you said, he's kind of pushed up against a wall. And I think he's dealing with the baggage of being black that has nothing to do with him, right? And so for you as an actor, have you had personal experiences that you could relate to of people assuming things about you, whether it's law enforcement or otherwise, because of your skin color? And did that help you connect to Slim and Queen in their journey?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think as black people, we are always impacted by the culture of reduction. You know what I'm saying? In whatever way, shape, or form, like our experiences and our just other people's perception of us leading the conversation and us having to negotiate that when we don't really have a perception of other people's stuff. We just take the person as an individual. So I kind of have had instances with the law enforcers and navigating that, and just growing up in a city where they assume that you would be selling X or selling Y or doing X and doing Y, and trying to go like, listen, what I think of myself is who I am, not what other people think of me. And I think Slim's navigating that as well.
And he's really consumed with legacy. That's a really huge theme in the film, is how are you going to be remembered? What is my legacy going to be? Why do you think Lena wrote that in that way, with this conversation about police brutality and kind of the time we're living in?
Because it's something that came up the other day, I think, because, and it's what this film explores, is like how black life is so interlinked with black death. And it's like, what are you going to leave behind? Do you know what I'm saying? What is it? Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, this thing happens and he doesn't know what's going to... He just was trying to drop her home. And now his life has changed. And so, but it is always about like... And I think that's what's great about the legacy through line. It's just stuff that is in human beings. How are you going to live on? Do you know what I'm saying? And usually you live on through your children. And they pass on your genes and your ideas and your personalities and your nuances. And in this situation, he's like, how am I going to live on? How are we going to live on, me and Queen?
And I think that is so personal, I think, for so many viewers, because when we think about the people who have been murdered by police, whether it's Sandra Bland or Eric Garner, we remember their names and now they have this legacy, but it's for, like you said, it's linked to death and this like negative, which is something that the activism in this movie really explores, is like, do you have to die to be remembered or to be, you know what I mean? Is that weight hard to like leave on set? Because it just seems so stressful the whole time in the film.
What?
Just the weight of like the activism and people out there fighting, and like they're all supporting Queen and Slim, and I'm just worrying about the emotional connection for you to this
what
journey.
I find amazing is that like about the film is that they never end up being the icons that they're projected upon. That's projected upon them. They are just regular people trying to navigate love, trying to go to a dance, trying to have fun, trying to listen to Luther Vandross. It's like, it's just regular stuff. And that's what I think is amazing about this film and what Lena wrote and what Melina has put visually. It's like, it's just trying to show black humanity. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, yo, we're human beings too, no matter what we've done. And even the stuff that may be considered brave and out there, it's just trying to stay alive. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, but just trying to stay alive is seen as brave. And I found that really interesting.
Let's talk about Melina Matsoukas. She's the director. The film is extremely beautiful. I mean, she is known for, directing music videos by Beyonce. So if you think of the visuals of something like Formation, you can feel a little bit of that just stylized nature in the film. It's so beautiful to watch. And I read something from her where she said the Underground Railroad used to end in Ohio. This story starts in Ohio and worked its way south. So it's sort of like
Reverse.
yeah, reverse. And so I'm interested in what kind of conversations did you have with her? Because it seems like she had this real understanding of this world. And what conversations did she have with you to help kind of understand the journey, the road trip that these two would be on?
It was just kind of like we had conversations about the kind of people Queen and Slim were, and she knew them. Do you know what I mean? She personally knew them. She'd been on at the beginning. There's a beginning. The very first time you see Queen and Slim, he's praying before the meal, and Queen's really uncomfortable. Like, why is this guy I met on Tinder praying? Like, it's weird. Eat. You took me to a diner and you start praying, and then and that she's been on that date. Do you know what I'm saying? And it was like she added that. But she just comes from real life. And so we just have real life conversations. The way I was dressed or where my hair was, she would send pictures of people that she knew in Jersey that looked similar or that reminded her of Slim. And so it was those kind of conversations. That was what was amazing. It was specific conversations. It wasn't like, yo, this is what it means generally. It was like, no, this is this guy. And this is how I felt about it. She's so interlinked with both characters. And then you can see that on the screen.
So as an actor, that must feel good to have a director who's so confident, and does it free you up to just be Slim? You don't have to like overthink anything.
She just knows them. You don't have to. There's not that like research. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, and I'd send certain people in my life that are dressed similar to Slim and X, Y, Z, and this is Daniel. It's just people that we live this. You know what I'm saying? And so when you ask questions, we're coming from the same context. Coming from the same, we see the world in similar ways.
The film is also unapologetically Black, and without giving anything away, these two people commit a crime. A lot of people view it as a crime, but the Black community in the film supports them and actually rallies behind them. So I'm interested, what were the conversations about the tone of the film and how people may or may not receive it? Just because it's so unapologetically Black. It's not necessarily a movie that like is catering to anybody other than Black people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, when you don't apologize, you don't worry about it. I'm not worried about it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if we're doing us, we're doing us. We're coming through. Yeah. What you have is what you have. That's I don't know. That's none of my business. Yeah. It's none of my business. We're unapologetic.
But that's Lena, too. I mean, so what was it like working with her? Because she is somebody who just lives in her truth every day.
She's a force of nature.
Yeah.
She's a force of nature. I don't know how she does what she does. She's a beast. And it's really inspiring to have someone that's like kind of boldens the fact that like this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're doing this. I don't think any other demographic that's come in the history of cinema worries about, well, I wonder what the Black community would do. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's not because they're bad. It's just because they're speaking their truth. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, we're speaking our truth. And we're coming in and we're trying to make it as rich and as detailed and as nuanced and as specific as possible. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, and I think we live in a day and age, especially now, you have to be specific to be general. Do you know what I'm saying? In order for it to reach the audience, you have to know exactly who you are. And that's what we try to do.
Yeah, I remember hearing Lena speak once, and she said that she wants to paint Black people with the tiniest brush possible, not just like a huge, she wants to really dig in. And this is a perfect example of that, where it's like these two people, like you said, Melina, like, I know these people. And that makes it so much more relatable for viewers.
They went to school with these people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's like they will hang out with these people, and you can really feel that on the screen.
Let's talk about filming it. You guys were in Ohio for a little bit and then down in New Orleans. So I went to the screening last night and you were in the talkback saying that there was a polar vortex in Ohio.
It was crazy,
when
man.
you were filming this
it was crazy.
scene outside.
It was crazy, man. I'm triggered. We had to have a 15-minute break every hour. That's how cold it was, legally. Yeah, we only could shoot 45 minutes an hour. It was, and I had to touch that car with my bare hands. That's some acting. Yeah. That's some acting there. There's a line in it where I go, oh, it's cold. That wasn't in the script, my guys.
It was cold.
It was cold, man. Like just saying, like, yeah, it really, it just adds to it. But I'm a firm believer you should use the environment around you to really be honest. I do think the shooting is like, it's like a newspaper, like, you know, when a newspaper like going to print, like the last story. I think the shoot there's like an idea, there's like a last idea that's the environment around you, and to make it more honest. And this is the last point before it goes into the edit. And I'm a firm believer to use around you, but Cleveland was interesting.
Yeah. What else was interesting about it?
Yeah, it was just cold.
Okay.
No, it was cold. It was cold.
Okay. And then down south, you know, you're British. Was there anything interesting you discovered about being in New Orleans culturally, just being in that environment? You know, that is a state that's had a lot of issues with police brutality.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, sometimes, I mean, New Orleans is such a, no pun intended, bounce back city. But like, it's kind of like they know how to come up, and there's such a spirit. There's an incredible spirit in New Orleans. I love the place. But sometimes you go to work and you turn a right, and then you're on Plantation Drive, and that's interesting. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, you still call it? Yeah, why not? Yeah, cool. Let's just drive it. You can't call it Rover Road? No. Yeah, no, it's fine. Let's just Plantation Drive. Let's do this. So just that kind of really, you're constantly reminded about the history and what your responsibility.
A responsibility that you and Jodie, I think, really just take on and really deliver. What was it like working with her? Because the love story is an integral part of this story, and it is so vulnerable because of the situation they're in, and so sensual too in the moments when they are coming together. So what was it like working with her?
It was great, man. I love Jodie, man.
Yeah.
She's just like, it was great because obviously because of our haircuts, we had to kind of shoot majority of it kind of chronologically. So we kind of we got to know each other throughout the shoot and throughout the film. So we got closer and closer. But that can only be possible if someone's really open and really generous, especially when it's a film that is kind of on our backs. There's a lot on us. And we were just on the same page, and we kind of hung out a lot, and I made a like playlist of UK music and stuff. So I was we just kind of vibed out. And it's always, you just want to create people that are open, and she's hungry, and it's her first lead role, and she did an incredible job.
It's crazy. It's her first lead role. It's Melina's first film, right, that she's directing, and then Lena's first screenplay?
First film
screenplay.
Feature screenplay, yeah.
That's insane. But I think that's also why it feels so fresh.
And that's I love being around that energy, because they're not even thinking about the rules like that. They haven't formed habits that may take away from their creativity. So it's always really exciting, and I just try, for me, I try to stay open and go, maybe I am wrong, maybe that I'm bringing too much to it. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, and try and like serve the process and serve the piece.
What is your process for either researching, learning about your character, and then kind of getting in and out of him every day?
I go to the places where I think they'd be at. Like, so when I went to Cleveland, I went to Costco, and I just pulled up. You know what I'm saying? I just pulled up and just hung out, and it was like, and I was speaking to the guys, and they were like, "Oh, you're in Get Out." I'm like, "Yeah, man. Yeah, I am. Yeah. Wait, so what's the deal here? Like, I don't know what I was looking for." So I just kind of just feel the energy, feel the vibe, and then I spoke to the manager, found out he got like, if you work on Sundays, you're getting $38 an hour. I was like, wow, Slim thinks he's the man. Yeah. Like, he's on $38 an hour. Like, he's got, and it's the best shift in the week. So he's like the chosen one. So he's like, it's just like, I found that really, just understanding the mentality. Then I was speaking to the staff and going, yo, what does this hood mean? What does this area mean? I was trying to pinpoint where he grew up. Do you know what I'm saying? And this and that. And like, oh, Shaker Heights, what's that mean? And this and that. Like, you kind of like, you have to be specific. Do you know what I'm saying? And so that's what it was for me. And then I kind of went through the script and wrote down all the things someone say about you, everything you say about someone else, and everything you say about yourself. And then between everything someone says about you and everything you say about yourself, that's where you kind of live. And that's where your performance is. You kind of have to signal both. So I kind of would go and write a document about that, and then kind of just try and like keep it specific, but keep it open for projection, so the audience can go, oh, I would do this or I would do that. Do you know what I'm saying? As opposed to trying to tell the audience what to think.
And you do that kind of detail work for every character. that you play?
Yeah, mostly now. Now I do, yeah. Now I do, because a lot of time it's a big task. And then I get all this information, get all this knowledge, and then I just throw it in the bin. Like, reality, no, like, because if it makes sense, it will stick. Yeah. It should become you. And then it will pop up when it pop up. But it's just a way to meditate on a character, because it's just, you guys don't know where to start. You just go, all right, cool, then I think this, or I don't think you make that decision because of X, Y, Z. The fact that you can come to that conclusion in a pressurized situation is because you've done some prep. You don't know, you can't remember it, but it's in you, you know?
That prep lets me know how much of a seasoned actor you are. I think for a lot of U.S. audiences, Get Out was the first time they saw you, but you've been acting since you were like a teen, right?
16, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I have some friends who are from London. They're like, oh yeah, he was on Fades and he was doing this, and you did a lot of TV.
Yeah, I did a lot of comedy.
Yeah. So what has the last few years felt like for you as you've just kind of ramped up into being more visible?
Packing a lot. Pack more. It's quite surreal. It's quite surreal. You have to kind of wrestle time to do the work. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like you can fill your day with just business and politics. You kind of wrestle time to go, oh, cool, I need to work on character, I need to work on this, and you have to be front-footed and assertive about, yo, I need to do work, and I need to this time. While before you just have the time to do it, and you're kind of left to your devices. But it's very surreal. It's very surreal just walking on the street and people go, oh, I know you. That's weird. So like, because back in the day, you do something in 2 weeks, people go, oh, you're in that thing, and then 2 weeks later, no one cares. And then you just, that Get Out was just a kind of, you realize that shift was permanent. So that was interesting.
That was a defining role for us, for you. But for you, looking at your career, is there a role that was really defining, or that as an actor really sort of made you elevate or changed how you approached it?
It was the Get Out was a defining role, but I feel like there's a play I did called Sucker Punch at the Royal Court in 2010 that kind of opened the door up for a lot of things. It was my first lead role ever, with all the things, and then allowed me to audition for Black Mirror. And then the Black Mirror episode kind of opened a lot of doors for me. And
that's where Jordan Peele saw you.
Yeah, where he saw me, and in fact, he went to Netflix and stuff like that. So those two roles are like I would see them as moments. Do you know what I'm saying? That have changed a lot of my life.
So would you want to do more theater?
Yeah, probably, maybe. I don't know. Like, it all depends on the idea. I'm not like, oh, no, yes, no. I'm just kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm kind of making it up as I go along, so.
I think you're doing a good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's nice.
We do have a couple of questions before we get out of here. Who is the first one?
Good morning, Daniel.
Morning.
In the film, Queen and Slim are referred to as Bonnie and Clyde. And in a lot of the articles I've read, they say Bonnie and Clyde. But I think thematically that Queen and Slim are more like Thelma and Louise being on the run. Bing. Do you feel the same way?
100%.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. And narratively, it is Thelma and Louise.
Right.
But that's what's interesting about that comparison is because the inciting incident in Bonnie and Clyde is them committing a crime. But the inciting incident in Queen and Slim is people's perception about being black. Do you know what I'm saying? And that the criminalization of black people in society and in culture, and they have to navigate that. But if you look at the beats, it's very Thelma and Louise, yeah.
Thank you very much.
That's cool.
Go for it.
Good morning.
Morning, man.
Yeah, it's an honor to actually see you.
Thank you, bro.
To be in
Appreciate
front of you.
Appreciate
Now, actually, the host actually touched on my question, so I'm gonna ask A and B. Pretty much, I'm gonna switch up. What I want to ask you is that I see. Well, ever since I saw you in Get Out, that was the first movie I saw you in. But ever since that you what's the word I'm looking for? Ever since I saw Get Out, I want to know, how do you actually pick your roles? Because the characters that you play a lot of hero, like surrounded type of hero, but not the hero. So I want to know exactly how you pick your roles, if you don't mind me asking.
No, of course. I pick my roles just from my gut and how I'm feeling at that time and how my friends are feeling. I listen to my friends. I listen to the WhatsApp groups. I listen to what they're into and what they care about. I'll go watch Fast and Furious with them. Do you understand? I don't understand what they love. And then and I remember one time I did this play, Season of Congo. It was about Patrice Lumumba, and then my friend came to watch it, and I'm my brother from 11, And I was like, yeah, what do you think? He's like, yeah, no, it's cool. I was like, you went high pitch, bro. Come on, man. What do you think? Like, and then he was like, it didn't make me feel great about being black. And I realized, like, why would I do that to my friend? Do you know what I'm trying to say? So I love showing us as human, showing us, but I don't want it to go like we're bionic, perfect heroes. We're flawed, everyone in this room. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's okay. And it's be easy on ourselves. Do you know what I'm saying? There's something that's in Queen and Slim. That's what he's navigating. It's like, I've made a mistake. I've done something bad. Like, am I a bad person? Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, do I deserve to be? Because do I deserve to be executed? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, essentially. And then but it's like trying to kind of go, it doesn't make sense. Sometimes things are just not black and white. And I always want that kind of blurriness of like, you could perceive it one way and you can perceive it another way. You could be living on the same road. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And I think that's really exciting. And also, another thing, it's got a lot of humor, Queen and Slim. Do you know what I'm saying? Because that, like, in dire moments, there's sometimes funerals are really funny. Like, do you know what I'm saying? It's like, and it reflects the wholeness of life. So it has to, is what I'm basically saying is there's always a universe of reasons of why I want to do something. It's never just like, oh, douche. It's like, there's going to be loads of stuff.
I just read that you may possibly participate in a Black Panther movie about the activist group Black Panther, not the comic.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now.
Yeah. So that kind of ties into what you just said. You're playing Fred Hampton. So what was attractive about him specifically? Because again, Black Panthers are an activist group that people have negative opinions of, positive opinions on. So it's basically what you just said.
It's the Fred Hampton, because Fred Hampton's a brilliant mind. He was a brilliant mind. Like, I read the script for the first time. I didn't understand it. Like, I didn't understand the ideas that he was. I didn't understand it, and I had to read it once to actually get a foundation, then read it again to truly try to mine it. And he was brilliant, and he had the source. Do you know what I'm saying? He just had it, and I find that fascinating. And Black Panthers have been in my life in the background, and people talk about them, and I've never had a perception of it. Like, I never was like, and I just wanted to learn. I thought it was really interesting to learn about that time, about that era, understand that context, understand that mindset, understand why did they arrive at that point? How did it get to there at that point? And what was closing in on them, and why didn't care? They didn't care, and they were like, enough's enough. And in fact, they would rather be dead than live how they're living. Do you know what I'm saying? They were like, no. And that attitude really spoke to me. I think it's the attitude that is in a lot of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? A lot of those guys. So it's kind of, I think it was amazing. And then Shaka King is a great director. He's directing it. Ryan Coogler's producing it. Lakeith Stanfield's in it. Ashton Sanders is in it. Like, Dominique Fisher. It's crazy. Like, the team that has been brought together, and everyone's come and doing it for the same reason, to give a platform and show it from their perspective about who they are, as opposed to the outside forces. You know what I mean? I think that's what the point of stories.
Community organizers and really taking care of their communities, but
they were
painted in a really negative.
They were feeding kids because they were hungry.
Absolutely.
Before school, breakfast programs. You know, they were like they set up medical centers in the hood. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, this is what they were doing on a local level, and I had to read and mine it in order to know that. Do you know what I'm saying? I didn't hear that. And that's, even simple things like that needs to be out there in the idea universe.
I agree. I was really excited when I started reading that was happening. I think it's such an important story to tell. And like you said, the team assembled, it's a perfect team to do it. We do have one more question before we get out of here.
Hey, Daniel. So, loved most of your roles so far. I'm absolutely very excited to see Queen and Slim. I think it's a very powerful movie for this time and age. As you mentioned, Get Out was one of the first film that I actually watched of you, and I really enjoyed it. Probably was my favorite. So my question to you is that, how was it like working with Jordan Peele, being that it was one of his first film as well as a sole director? And do you plan on maybe working with him in the future again, or have any plans? Or
Jordan's he's a legend, isn't it? Really, do you know what I'm saying? Jordan. I mean, it's similar to Queen and Slim. Like, to work with somebody at that point in their career, it's just so special. You're just part of a moment. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, because it's someone always says in their first film, they even if they logically think, they don't really believe that they're gonna make another film again. Do you know what I'm saying? So they throw in everything at it. They go, this may be my only chance, and that energy transmits. you know what I'm saying, on the screen. And Jordan had that. We shot Get Out in 23 days. Do you know what I'm saying? It was war. So, and he's such a open, generous director. And I had a blast working with him. And, you know, we're still in contact, you know, and see what happens.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Cool.
In the meantime, we have this beautiful film, Queen and Slim, and I can't say enough how much I enjoyed it, how just emotional I got. It was unexpected how emotional I was kind of at the end of it, but then also how much I laughed. So it really does have it all. Congrats on the film and congrats on an amazing performance. And you guys can catch Queen and Slim when it hits theaters on November 27th. Put your hands together for Daniel Kaluuya.
Thank you. Thank you so much.